Going on, everybody? Carolina Combat back today. Today we're joined by a newly named head coach at Campbell, Coach TJ Dudley. Coach, thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, so kind of just walk me through this hiring process and just kind of just walk me through, just the interview process and all the things like that.
Yeah, the hiring process was it was it's a head coaching job, so it's a long one sometimes. It went about probably about a month, I'd say. They hit a bunch of candidates, they hit me and they hit some guys after, and you do what you do with any interview and any job, you get in there, you put your best foot forward. You get to meet all the people that help the machine move, right? And you talk about where you would fit in that machine and how you can keep it running efficiently and how you can make it better.
How's the transition been so far going from assistant coach to head coach?
Um, it's been it's been busy, I guess is the word is. Mostly because when you're an assistant, you have certain roles that you're responsible for. And then when you're maybe the next year you got different roles that you're responsible for, and that's kind of your part. Moving that transition up to head coach, I'm responsible for them all, and now
Right.
in the process of getting assistants to kind of assign their own little special parts to help carry that load a little bit. So it's been, like I said, busy is probably the word I'd use the most. And I'm in the process of getting some help, getting some assistance, and just chopping down the tree, one swing at a time.
Tez did some great things, but what are some new things you're looking to instill in the program going forward?
Yeah, he did do a lot of good things. He was really innovative. Nothing was really the same every year, You wrestle at Fort Bragg, and then you wrestle on the diamond and the baseball field out in the mountains with Wyoming. He did a lot of cool things. One, I want to keep some of that stuff going. We're going to be wrestling in the at Yorktown on an aircraft carrier. That'll be really cool. And then I want to do I can't give away everything, but I'm gonna do
Right,
a few
right,
things different than Sentez.
right.
I do want to get into like building an RTC. I think that's an important part of the program. When I look back on my career and some of these other guys that found success, they attribute a lot of it to their coaches, obviously, but then a large part of it goes to their partners, and namely those are RTC guys, right? I think about some of my partners I had. Jordan Burroughs was number one. That's a big name.
Right, right.
Yeah, Austin Trotman, who was awesome. I got to train with Max Astrin, who was another great one. Raymond Jordan. I mean, I can go, the list goes on of just partners that I had that were high level guys that I got to compete with, and I want to. It's not a year one thing, but it's something you build and you grow and you start to develop, right? It's one of those things I want to bring to Campbell if I can find my way how to do so and how to get it kind of sustaining itself, right?
Yeah, you just spoke on the battle at Yorktown. You guys will be taking on Lander, Penn, and Presbyterian. What are your thoughts heading back to this event this year?
Um, I thought I want to say I put more of my thought into the team and to development more than I have into events up to this point. I've only been head coach about 2 weeks now. Going into the event, I want to get my guys ready to wrestle anybody, right? You have some teams in there that are really, really strong, and I want my guys ready for that challenge. And I think it's a good opportunity, especially when you come from a program that's kind of gone through what we've gone through in this last year, right? People start to they doubt you a little bit. They don't expect much. We can have our guys come out and put the hurting on some guys and sting some names that maybe nobody's expecting. Because
Absolutely.
we didn't lose everybody. We lost a large chunk of our team, but we picked up some talent too. And I think it'll be a good opportunity for some of our younger guys to get out on a cool atmosphere and wrestle cool in front of a cool crowd on the water, which is going to be sick.
Absolutely.
You're going to wrestle somebody. It's a great opportunity to go make a name for yourself, right? You put your foot up
Yeah.
against somebody that's top 15, top 20, top 10. It's like, go make yourself a name.
Spoke on some guys are, transferring out. You also got some transfers coming in. I guess how are you kind of navigating that as well? Like when you're recruiting, what are you kind of looking for with your ideal recruits?
Um, yeah, well, we do got some guys going out. We got some guys coming in. I'm navigating that and in a way that I can bring in guys and keep the culture we've started to build here at Campbell. I don't want to hurt that by any means, and I'm willing to take some risk and manage that, but I'm not going to take too much to where it starts to affect our team and affect what I want to instill in this program, how I want to put my mark on it. So that's going to be a thing that I look for in guys that I recruit, right? Guys that exemplify what I want Campbell Wrestling to represent, what I want a student athlete that leaves our program to represent, how he carries himself, how he does all the tasks he loves, the tasks he hates, what kind of effort he kind of puts in, what kind of attitude he kind of comes out with it, that kind of stuff. I look for guys that do the monotonous, boring work and they do it with a smile and then they come out on top, of anything they want with success. Guys that obviously have the good grades and the good wrestling. Guys that carry themselves the right way. And if they don't, or they haven't at some point in their past, they've shown improvement and that they want to, right? And guys that are strong in their beliefs. I don't want guys that are too flimsy that can be persuaded one way or the other too quickly, right? Um, I used to kind of grow up on a saying where if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So I want
Absolutely.
guys that kind of have that strong core values in themselves and or at least they're trending in that direction to where they can build that. And it's not something I have to teach as much when they get here. It's something that we guide and like mentor, right? Uh,
Absolutely.
some things and people you can't exactly teach, right? You can mold and change and help, but you can't teach it as well as say you can teach wrestling.
Right. Absolutely. Speaking on the staff, I'm not sure if you can announce anything as of right now, but what are you kind of looking for when you're building this staff for next season?
Um, so the fun part about wrestling and hiring wrestlers is that they're usually all pretty good at what they do. Um, once you wrestle, everything else in life is easy. I'm looking for guys that fit what I'm looking for or fit where I find need, and obviously I need in a smaller weight class. I'm a heavy coach. I'm a big guy. I wrestled 184 all 5 years. I need a guy that wrestled 125 maybe all 4 years, right? I do have one guy that I'm not going to say anything about just yet, but I am still looking for a small guy and a guy that again exemplifies what it means to be in a wrestling room day in and day out, nose to the grindstone, not into too many extracurriculars and really kind of looking to achieve a goal, have a plan, and guys that want to learn and grow and eventually move on to the next step in their career, right?
Yep. How essential is having a nice standalone facility like you guys have? Just how good is it just to be able to pitch that to recruits?
It's huge. It's really huge. You think about like some of the best programs and you know what obviously social media is huge, but the message that's being pushed is where you don't need everything to be the best, right? You don't need the XYZ, you don't need a nice room, you don't need a nice training facility. You can, with wrestlers with nitty-gritty, you can win with the scraps, is what, everybody says. And that's true. And I agree. From my background, I didn't have everything. But I will say it definitely helps
Absolutely.
when you
Absolutely.
got the nicest facilities, the nicest nutrition, you got a good weight room. You're happy to be in that environment every day. Um, everybody, like I said, everybody preaches that, but then the best guys, they're living that life where they have that nice stuff. And I like that we're at a spot where we can compete with those top schools that have a good room. We have a good room. We have a 3 mat room, extra space. We got a whole room dedicated just to cardio, a whole lounge room with TVs and a fridge and a microwave and cabinets with food in it, right? We got a locker room that's beautiful with lights and all the flashy stuff that helps, bring in recruits. They can take pictures during picture day, that kind of stuff. Is it necessary? No, but is it nice to have? Is it nice to show?
Absolutely.
Nice to brag about when you're an athlete here? Absolutely.
Yep. Speaking back in your time at Nebraska, what made Nebraska the correct fit for you?
Everything.
I believe you were committed to UNC originally, right?
Yep. So I
Yep.
committed early in October-ish to UNC. I verbal there, and it was For where I was, and no disrespect to those guys, it wasn't where I wanted to be. It was where my offers were.
Right.
And I wanted to kind of have a stress-free senior year. Made that commitment. It was close to home. I had a pretty decent time. UNC campus is beautiful. Um, but I had a dream school in mind that I wanted to visit, and that was at the time it was Iowa. And when I got that opportunity, I committed before I guess I was on anybody's radar. And so I
Right.
went Super 32 and I got on a lot more people's radar.
Right.
And so then I had an honest conversation with the UNC coach, CD Mock at the time. I said, hey, Iowa offered me a visit. They offered me, I had told them earlier if there was any way I could get money to go out there, I couldn't afford it. But now, there was a way that money was available and they just wanted me to come on a visit. And I said, hey, I owe it to myself to, pursue this dream.
Absolutely.
Um, that doesn't mean I'm decommitting from you guys, but it means I want to go see if I can, see if my dream is really what I thought it was. And it wasn't. I went out there for 2 days and, it was okay. And I think the Hawkeye facility is beautiful and all that stuff, but my experience, like many people's experiences on recruiting visits to where their dreams maybe wasn't what I thought it was going to be, wasn't what I wanted it to be, that kind of stuff. Having one more visit left, I was like, well, that was a cool Big Ten school, but I wanted to see another one. And Coach Manning was, pretty adamant once he saw I went to Iowa that I at least come check out Nebraska. And me thinking, there's no way I'm going to Nebraska. I don't even know where it is on the map.
Absolutely.
I went from whatever, sure, I'll do one more visit. They're fun, they're free. It was a good trip. And they got the best guy in the world in that room. Yeah, I'll check it out. And it was everything I wanted Iowa to be.
Yeah.
The visit was fun. I liked the dorms. I liked the room. I love the coaches. I love the guys. The time I spent with them was amazing. And I'm sure everybody in the country's heard about the training table at Nebraska. They got that athlete only dining experience with the top food groups. It was something that I had envisioned myself being at Iowa there. And so then
Absolutely.
it made it very easy for me to, have another conversation with Coach CD Mock and say, hey, I got to go here.
Absolutely.
And so then, yeah, I ended up in Nebraska.
Yeah, speaking into your career, what was the biggest transition going from the high school level to the college level?
Oh, I say I was really good in high school based on natural talent, natural ability, being an athlete. Just the way I grew up was very outdoorsy, sportsy. Did a lot of like WWE fake wrestling. So, I wasn't afraid to twist my body up in any kind of way. Um, and so naturally, I use the word lightly. I was kind of fit for wrestling, and so in high school, I did really well in a state that wasn't, very really known for wrestling. So then going from that, having won my first state title in South Carolina within 2 years of wrestling, I was like, I want to explore outside of this. I want to see what's outside of, if I'm the best in the state, I want to see if I can be the best in the nation, in the world, et cetera. So then I got my foot into every kind of national tournament I could, every kind of camp that I could. I went to the local camps, went to the faraway camps. I went to Ohio, I went to Iowa, Tennessee, I went everywhere. Um, and I just soaked up as much information as I could. Uh, and I got better, but it really was my athletic ability that carried me. But when I got to college, that stopped.
Right.
That stopped real fast. And I had to, one, utilize all that knowledge I soaked up, and two, learn more, learn more, learn more. I remember my first couple practices, I was wrestling returning All-American Josh Enan, hit him with a shrug. It was my first college takedown. I felt good about it. And then I was takedownless for probably 3 months where I just
Right.
didn't see another takedown on anybody in the room. And it was
Right.
depressing. So then, you sit and talk with your coach and it's like, well, why can't I stop anybody's shot? And it's like, well, your defense has all these holes in it. Why can't I score? Well, your offense has all these holes in it. Your head's down, your butt comes up before your hips do, that kind of stuff, right? And then when I learned to wrestle, my my athletic ability was able to shine again, you know.
What kind of influence did Mark Manning have on you, and I guess the way you shaped the way you coach today?
Mark Manning had a huge influence on me, and he still does to this moment, you know. Watching those guys get second at nationals was cool, and I mean, I talked to him before my interview, after my interview here. Mark Manning's awesome, and he's always been a strong mentor for me, right? And he helped guide my way. Like I said, I had the right foundation. I just needed a little guidance, and he helped me with that, right? And that led me to want to do the same thing for other guys, and not just Mark Manning. You know, Mark Manning, Brian Snyder, Matt Milners, who's coaching out in Sioux Falls, South Dakota right now. And Tony Ursulin, head coach of Purdue, you know, all four of those guys, really strong mentors, really strong individuals that help me shape the way I want to do things, I want to run things, all part of successful programs now. And obviously, you know, I look at those guys as an example of how somebody that comes to Campbell can be on the same level as somebody that goes Big Ten, right?
Core principles or philosophies you took from your time there that you now instill into your coaching today?
I mean, I always tell guys this, and I mean, it's really just three words, but it's the backbone of Nebraska wrestling, which is effort, attitude, always. You know, and if you can really get down and embrace what that means, you know, you can branch it out however you want, or take it however you want, and instill it however you want. But that's going to be obviously a strong part of my coaching philosophy, right? Have the right effort, do it with the right attitude, you know, all the time. There's no need to ever do anything with half effort or a bad attitude. Um, you can continually do things efficiently, effectively, and you know, excel in not just wrestling, excel in life, excel in your job, excel in your relationship, right? All those kind of things.
Biggest difference or adjustment you going from athlete to coach?
Selfishness and selflessness. Because I didn't go straight from athlete to coach. I went from athlete to athlete coach, you know,
Right.
where I was still competing. And I had to stop being so selfish with my training and start being more selfless for my athletes. And I have that conversation with a lot of guys that I'm looking to bring in that want to continue competing, and other guys where it's like, uh, you're gonna get the most out of your guys when you're more selfish about their training than you are about your own training, right? When you're more selfless, just overall, because you know you don't need to take your guy down 45 times to get him better, right? Maybe you need to do something a little bit differently to help him get that one takedown on you. Um, and I'm not saying just give it to him. I'm saying help him find that way to get that one takedown on you. Um, when you don't feel the best, maybe if you're training, you're taking that day off. If you don't feel the best and you're training other guys, you might have to wrestle 3 or 4 times that day, you know? And
Yeah,
that's going above and beyond sometimes in some people's eyes, but the more selfless you can be, the more people you can help, I think. That's probably
absolutely.
the biggest transition there.
Yeah, this question I've been asking a lot of the, D1 coaches. What's your thoughts on the new roster limits and just kind of how this impacts the way you recruit and build your program?
I just see, I'm not on either side of it. I see all the benefits and lots of different ways it can improve programs and lots of different ways it can hurt programs. You think, you know, one benefit I think is it stops bigger program, and it doesn't stop them. It just slows down bigger programs from taking all the best guys, right? It gives those guys that are those top five programs that are 2, 3 on the lineup that can do just as much as the one guy, right? You have the one guy who can All American at second, and then you got the one guy, the two seed that's right behind him at the same school that could be third or fourth.
Right.
You know, and that kid goes 2 years and never sees a lineup. But now, you know, those some of those guys get shaved off and they can go shine at other schools. I think it makes for a more competitive national tournament. On the flip side, I think it hurts a lot of guys where you see schools that have, you know, 40, 50 guys on their roster. There's a lot of guys that they're given an opportunity where now those guys don't have that opportunity, right? Um, They have an equal opportunity that is still a very good opportunity, and that's going D2 or D3, right? You can get a different sort of wrestling, a different sort of education in a lot of those places. Um, but some people they just dream of being D1, right? And that dream, is now limited by roster limits.
Absolutely.
So I
Yeah,
think it makes it more competitive. I think it brings up the bar for everyone, right? Some schools were, and we were one of those schools that we started the year at 52 kids on our team.
right.
Um, but now I think we're going to have 30 kids that are just at a level, an average level is going to be higher. The average level is.
Absolutely. Your goals and I guess your vision for the program over the next couple of years.
Uh, I can talk about that for the next 2 hours. To sum it up, Campbell's got a history of winning in the SoCon, a newer history, not an old time long dynasty, but they got a newer history of winning the SoCon. I want to bring that back, and obviously, I want to get towards that dynasty type of feel,
Absolutely.
when guys think about the SoCon, they're like, well, you either go Campbell or you go to a different go to a different conference.
Right.
And I love my other coaches at those other schools, but I'm competitive and I want to be the best, right?
Absolutely.
And I want my guys to be the best, and I want my guys on the team and our alumni to have that pride of like, yeah, heck yeah, this is what Campbell does. We go out, we win, we dominate, and this is how we do it, right? And the way we do it is going to be, the way that I put these guys on that path this year, next year, and the following year, as we start to recruit and build and really start this team over from scratch, right?
As we wrap up, for any
What's going
Campbell supporters or fans that may be watching, what kind of message do you have for them?
Yeah, I've said this on a couple other streams and podcasts, but the Campbell Wrestling's not going anywhere, right? We're here to stay. We're here to make an impact. We're here to make a name, and we were known as kind of like the little guy the little man that could, the little train that could. You wrestle against a Campbell guy, you never know what's going to happen, right? We had Tay Gadiali, All American just a couple of years ago, and we're going to be right back there. Um, Small step back and a large step forward is where we're going. So be on the lookout for us.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, best of luck in the upcoming season, and thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.